Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Allison Collier, and I am here representing Focus at our second ever virtual First Fridays tour. We're very excited that you could join us. On behalf of the other host organizations of First Fridays, Education Forward DC, Education Board Partners, and the City Bridge, we are really thrilled to be able to bring this opportunity to everybody today. We are planning to do additional ones in the future that we don't have any others scheduled yet, but we will be sure to get that information out to you once we have additional schools scheduled. So we're really excited to be showcasing Briya Public Charter School today. There's a very unique model and services that Briya offers to DC students and families, and we're really excited for everyone to be able to learn about that. I know they have a lot of stuff they want to share with us, so I am going to pass it right over to Christy McKay, the Executive Director, who will give us some more background and let us know what we're going to be seeing today. We'll have time for questions at the end, and also feel free to use the chat box if you'd like to put questions along the way, and then we'll make sure we can share those questions at the end and get responses. Christy.
All right, thank you so much, Allison. Good afternoon. I'm pleased that we can share with you during these unprecedented times. I am Christy McKay, and the school leader and one of the founders of Briya. For the agenda today, if we can move to the next slide. We are joined by two student leaders, Isel and Zaid, along with representatives from each one of our departments, and they will be each sharing about our departments, and then we will have some questions at the end. Next slide. Our model is a two-generation model in which parents and children come together to learn. And then parents and children are also able to take child development classes, and parents also learn about how to help their children at school. And we have very strong comprehensive services that support the whole family. Next slide. Briya's two-generation program includes a dual language program for children, infants, toddlers, and pre-K students. And then our adult education program for parents include English as a second language classes, digital literacy, child development classes, and our high school diploma program, which is offered through NEDP. And then we have two workforce certification programs, our registered medical assistant program and our child development associate program. Both take about 18 months to complete, and today we will be focusing on our medical assistant program. Next slide. We are actually celebrating our 30th year as a school. We started as a federal grant from the U.S. Department of Education. And then for many years, we were part of DC Public Schools, and we have been a charter school. This is our 14th year as a charter school. We are serving a little over 700 students as a charter school. And then when you add our infants and toddlers, we serve over 800 students a year. If you could move to the next slide. The vast majority of our students are low income and English language learners, and many of our adult students have had little opportunity for formal education. Next slide. Within our school, we represent over 50 countries and have a little over 30 different languages represented. Next slide. We are a very strong we have a very strong partnership with Mary Center so that our families can have direct access to healthcare, dental care, social services, mental health services, and lots of wraparound social support. We are co-located with Mary Center at 3 different sites, and our 4th site, we are co-located with DC Public Schools. And the next slide. All right, we are very happy to be able to share this. It's about a 2.5-minute video that we have recently been able to complete. that represents both our school and the families that form Briya. So we can start it.
ወደዚህ ሀገር ስመጣ ቋንቋውም ትንሽ አስቸግሮኝ ነበር። በጣም ይፈጥራል ምክንያቱም እኔ እንዳልኩ ከቤተሰቦቼ ጋር ብዙ ሰዓት ተነጥዬ ኖሬ አላውቅም። ይሄ ለመጀመሪያ ነው የመጀመሪያ ወደዚህ ስመጣ ማለት ነውና ያስፈራኝ ነገር እንዴት ነው ከሰዎች ጋር መግባባሁ። ልጄን ይዤ ሐኪም ቤት ቀጠሮ ለማስያዝ ራሱ ትንሽ ያስፈራኝ ነበር። በምን ሰዓት የትኛው ሰዓት እንዴት ተግባብቼ ለልጄ ቀጠሮ እንደሚይዝ ዶክተር እንዴት እንደምመርጥ እርዳታ ያስፈልገኝ ነበር። ስለ ብሪያ የሰማሁት ለልጄ ጆርጂያ ላይ ዴንቲስት ሐኪም ቤት ስወስደው የተለጠፈ እንትኖችን አነብ ነበርና ሳነብ አየሁት። መጀመሪያ ትምህርት ስጀምር እንዴት ነው አስተማሪው የሚለውን ምሰማው እንዴት ነው ፓርቲሲፔት ማደርገው ብዬ ነው ያሰብኩት። እያዋለ ወደድኩት ምክንያቱም አስተማሪዎቹ በጣም ይረዳሉ፣ በጣም ፍሬንድሊ ነው የሚቀርቡት። እንግዲህ እዚህ ትምህርት ቤት ከመጣሁ 3 ዓመት ተኩል ሆኖኛል። አሁን ጥሩ የሆነ ፐርፌክት ባልሆን ጥሩ የሆነ ደረጃ ላይ ደርሻለሁ።
Hi, good morning. We're going to take a quick look. I'm going to listen. No worries. Spanish too? Yes. Oh, wow.
በልጄ ክላስ ላይ እሄዳለሁ። ፋሚሊ ታይም አለን፣ 2 ቀን አለ ፋሚሊ ታይም ላይ ሄጄ አብሬው መጽሐፍ አነባለሁ። የብሪያ ስታፎች ሁሉም የሚቀርቡት እንደ ጓደኛ ነው። የምትፈልገው ነገር ካለ ይረዳሉ። ልክ እንደ ቤተሰብ ናቸው። ሃይስኩል ዲፕሎማ ለመማር ሀሳብ አለኝ። ሃይስኩል ዲፕሎማዬን ተምሬ ከዛ በኋላ ያለውን በማኔጅመንት ምናምን እያልኩኝ ለመቀጠል ሀሳብ አለኝ። ብሪያ ጋር መሆኔ በጣም ጥሩ ስሜት እንዲኖረኝ አድርጎኛል። ምክንያቱም አሁን በጣም ነው ኮንፊደንስ የሚሰማኝ።
Right, thank you. I would like to now present Yisel. And Yisel, if you can introduce yourself. All right. If we can't hear Yisel right now, so now let's hear from Zaid. Hi, Zaid.
Good afternoon. Hi. Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Zaid Gabakidan, and I have been a student at Briya Public Charter School for over 3 years. I am currently earning my high school diploma through Briya's National External Diploma Program. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm here today to share about the challenge and success of distance learning. My husband and I have 3 kids between the age of 3 and 10 years old. All 3 of them attend DCPS schools. I know that so many parents are facing challenge during distance learning, but the greatest challenge for my family is how to meet their education needs. But the obstacle is much bigger when you are an immigrant and you don't have basic education in your home country. As an immigrant myself, I know that firsthand. But during this time, I am not the person anymore. I couldn't imagine if this was 4 or 5 years ago. I will never forget the day I heard about Briya through a friend. I couldn't believe there was a school that you can go to for free, and not only for myself, but my sons as well can attend school there with me. As a woman who didn't have the privilege of good education, I understand the challenge that so many immigrant family faces. Any parents want their kids to have great success at school, but it's not easy if you have no idea how to do it. But I wouldn't let that happen to my kids because education is a key for everything. You see, I wouldn't be here today if I didn't know how to speak English. And that is the wouldn't be here today. So that's the power of education. Also, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Briya. Briya also encourages me to share ideas with my classmates on COVID-19. Since the school closed, Briya teacher and staffs have been very supportive with many different resources for students. This encourages me to share our everyday learning, strategy, and activities that we are doing at home through WhatsApp. One of the strategy I like is having a question of the day for my kids. For example, I ask them, what country would you like to visit? Because I want them to understand this would be okay. I share it every day with my classmates, and in the late afternoon, I send a video how my kids answer. Also, my classmates send videos, pictures, and the resources, and our teacher call to check on us through Zoom meeting every Friday. And as a result, we feel connected. I'm a student. Just recently, my 10-year-old daughter come up to me and say, you know, mommy, there are some friends that I don't see on Microsoft Teams. I am a student council. They choose me to look after them. What if they don't know how to sign to Microsoft Teams? Or they don't have a computer? I have to check on them. And she started calling her friends. I was so emotional and proud of her that she looks after her friend. And at the same time, she feels responsibility because they believe in her. COVID-19 makes it very difficult for all worlds, but we can share love and support and look after each other. I am grateful to Briya that I can help my classmates and my children, and they can help others too. Thank you so much for listening to me, and have a good day.
Thank you, Zaid. Thank you very much. Hi, Giselle.
Hi, Christy. Hello, everyone. My name is Giselle Romero. I am a student at Advanced 2 at Sharp campus. And I have been a student at Briya since 2009. And I have three children, and then my older is 12 years old. My second is 8 years old, and my little one, she is three years old. And also she attends at Briya at pre-K in kindergarten with me at Sharp. When this is switched to the distance learning in March, it was so hard for me and very difficult also for my family, because each of my children have different academic needs. I need to help them with the school work, and while I have to do my own too. Everyone is learning online, but sometimes my internet, it's not very fast. So I won't work for many people are accessing at the same time. On the top of this, my husband and I, we not working now, so the money is very tight. So thank you for Briya community, because they help me to support. And even though we are at distance, I don't feel alone. I have meetings too with my teachers and my classmates through the Zoom, and also my daughter, he had the meetings too with her teacher, circle time. It's helped me to don't feel alone and to still have contact with others. And I am able to talk with my teacher and my classmates daily, and I know some student services that Briya offer and to try to help out the students and all my family needs. Also, this is a challenging time for everyone, but it's easier for me because I feel part of Briya community. Thank you so much for all support to the families and don't feel alone. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusel. We will now move on, and I will pass it on to Jamie, who will speak about our adult ed program.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jamie. I am the digital literacy coordinator as well as a lead teacher here at Briya Public Charter School. Next slide. Next slide. So our transition to distance learning was pretty smooth because our program had a very strong foundation in digital literacy. In our regular classes, students spend a lot of time interacting with technology. Our basic level students are very familiar with our internal website and the type of digital learning activities that they are continuing to do at home. Our intermediate and advanced levels are already well versed with Google Classroom, logging in, using passwords. So we were able to get up and running with our distance learning program relatively quickly and relatively smoothly. Next slide, please. We decided to go with an asynchronous learning plan. So learning is not all happening at a set time. Students can be learning anywhere, anytime, in a self-paced manner. For our program, all classes receive 4 English language-related activities and 1 child development activities. And we're making sure that our English activities focus on the 4 skills: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. And we'll take a look at how this differentiates by level. Next slide. So some reasons for asynchronous learning. Our students are parents. They have lots of responsibilities, whether it's just maintaining their basic needs, helping with their children's distance learning. Some are still working, many other responsibilities. So this plan allows them to learn on their own schedule. Flexibility as well. So I have some students that do all of the given activities in a week. Some have time just to do one. Some are done throughout the week. I get several assignments on Sunday night just because that's the time that the student has to complete the work. And also a really big benefit is students can review learning content over and over again. So I'm posting grammar videos on a private channel, and I have about 25 active students, and I'll see there's 60 or 65 views on a grammar video. So I know students are watching multiple times to get that information. Next slide. So for our basic levels, class instruction is mainly happening via WhatsApp groups and linking to content in our in-house student website. You see here one of our teachers, Elizabeth, who's doing a pronunciation video she created, and that's shared with the students via the WhatsApp group. Next slide. For intermediate and advanced, we are unleashing the full power of Google Classroom. Our teachers are releasing lesson modules every Monday. So these include a weekly objective or introduction video to sort of walk students through the materials for the week, our lessons covering the 4 skills. Teachers are also encouraged to include optional expansion activities, whether it's grammar, vocabulary, virtual field trips to a museum or the zoo, exercise videos, or live Zoom classes. Measures for student participation are included, as well as an exit ticket. Next slide. Just a couple of examples of videos I've made for my class to kind of really help recreate the classroom experience, make students feel more connected. This is one video of me teaching prepositions, and the other is, you can see me in the corner, giving students a walkthrough of the learning materials for the week. Next slide. So we incorporate multiple student participation options using various Google tools, whether things in Google Classroom, Google Forms. These are nice to use, all of the things here, because they don't require logins. Padlet as well, no login is required for students to post and reply. Next. Creating Flipgrid videos and submitting those. Live worksheets as well, very easy to use and can give students instant feedback. And WhatsApp. And as you can see in the picture here, students replying to a prompt. What did you do with your child this weekend? Very cute. Next slide. This is an example of Padlet. Students were tasked to go to the Unite for Literacy website, read a book, and write the title and any vocabulary that they learned. So they can post, and as you can see, I can give them direct feedback in the comments. Next slide. So something we're really focusing on is digital learner persistence, keeping our students engaged, using ideas from the Community of Inquiry framework. So using different modes to really keep students engaged. This is the private comments portion of Google Classroom. So as you can see, the student actually initiated the conversation about their work. And again, it's just a really nice way to keep students engaged and know how they're doing with the work. Next slide. So at the higher levels, we are utilizing WhatsApp groups really for building and keeping community. It's a real-world context, an English-based community. So just some examples that my students have shared with each other, things with their pets, recipes, and it makes us feel a little bit closer to each other. Next slide. So I use Google Forms for exit tickets, which is it's really nice because I can easily get a visual snapshot of what students were doing, what they want to focus on, things that were difficult, and so on. Next slide. So to talk a little bit about child development, our students really have an incredible foundation on the 4 domains of child development that they've learned throughout the year. For our distance learning program, we're really focusing on activating that knowledge with family activities that they can do at home. And we have a calendar of topics for the remainder of the year. This includes math, science, sharing family stories, talking about COVID-19, and more. Next slide. And I want to share a short 1-minute sample with you on sharing family stories. This is through a program called VoiceThread, and it allows digital communication between the teacher and students and among the students. So you'll see the student uploaded this image. He's going to talk about his family. The teacher gives a reply, and then a student gives some feedback as well. Okay, so we can go ahead and play that.
My mom, Carmencita, she was born in San Salvador on July 12, 1952. She had a huge family, her parents and 10 sisters and brothers.
Hey Noe, this is Jamie. I think this was a really great way to start your project. The picture really shows your family and how big your family is. I was surprised, 10 people, that's quite a lot. Yeah, and it's nice to see them all enjoying a meal together, and it's a really strong way to start your project. Nice job. Okay, so this is just a nice multimodal tool where students can use text, video, image to share with each other. And that's what we're really trying to do with all of our distance learning is a multimodal approach. They're engaging with videos, with images, with text, and to really make a unique and engaging experience in our adult education department. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to pass it on to Rena now, who is going to talk about the medical assistant program.
Thanks, Jamie. Hi, my name is Rena Gadia. I manage the medical assistant program at Briya, and our program is unique in that we're training future healthcare professionals. So while moving to distance learning, we're actually trying to also incorporate information and guidelines on COVID-19 in real time so that our students are prepared for the healthcare system they're entering. If we can go to the next slide, our MA students or medical assistant students are trained to work in outpatient healthcare settings. So that could be clinics or community health centers. And they were attending class 4 nights per week prior to the quarantine. We did have some advantages prior to the pandemic. A few are that our students are already familiar and have received assignments through Google Classroom, had viewed lectures on Google Drive, had been familiar with our YouTube channel where they could watch selected videos on clinical skills. So that familiarity was really valuable as a supplement to moving to distance learning. If we can go to the next slide, this is an overview of what we're doing now. So in keeping with what Jamie mentioned, we are also doing primarily asynchronous or not simultaneous learning in that we're recording lectures, sending it out to the students to watch, sending out any relevant training. So for example, something through the CDC, and then assigning homework assignments and also doing, they're engaging in online discussion board posts. We do have an opportunity for them to also log into Zoom class meetings 2 nights a week. And that gives us an opportunity to walk through any questions that may have come up during the video, while watching the video lectures, as well as to actually engage with applied knowledge activities. It also provides some routine and normalcy for the students who find that community element really crucial for coping right now. And all of these Zoom classes are recorded so that someone can get the benefit even if they're unable to attend in real time. If we go to the next slide, this is an example of an assignment that where we are intending to fold in current issues into our lab medicine curriculum content and then guiding students in reflecting on those connections between what they're learning and what is currently happening. The next slide is an example of a class discussion thread in which students watched a video on medications and then engaged in questions and discussion with each other and then received feedback from me as well. And then on the next slide, we'd actually like to give you a little bit of a glimpse of our Zoom class meetings. So we can go ahead and play that video.
Yes. Great. Okay, we're back to recording. Let's walk through the scenarios. Everyone felt like they had, I think group 4 probably had the toughest time getting through all of it because you guys had the longest scenario. So that one we might kind of crowdsource together as a group because I know that was a lot to ask for just a couple people. Let's start with scenario 1 though. How would that group like to walk us through their scenario and their answers?
Sure.
Great.
So it's me and Betty. Lucinda is a 26 years old who has leukocytes and nitrites or nitrates? Nitrates in her urine. What condition is a common cause of this in women? So we said UTI.
Urinary tract infection. Okay.
Betty, do you want to go?
Yeah, and the symptoms she's going to expect is increased urge to urinate, burning with urination, and cloudy urine and abdominal pain.
Great. Cloudy urine. Which cloudy urine will be more of an objective sign.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, I cut you off. Kaisa, you were saying something?
No. Oh, I want Betty to explain the next one because she's a pro.
No.
She is.
All right. Okay. So it says record your pathophysiology knowledge and why would leukocytes be present in her urine? I think because of her infection and she has inflammation. And her body is working against the infection. to fight it. So she creates a lot of leukocytes in her urine, right?
Chris.
Okay. And I will now pass it off to Stephanie Mintz to talk about student services. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie, and I'm the director of our student services team. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about the work that we're doing to support families during this pandemic. Next slide. So this is a picture of our team members, and our team basically works closely with adult students on a one-to-one basis to address any needs or challenges that they're facing that are getting in the way of their full engagement in their own education. So this goes for all school year. Our student services coordinators really work directly with adult students to address issues such as housing, jobs, health issues, mental health, any family concerns, legal issues, you name it. They're really there to develop these relationships and address those barriers to education. Next slide. We also work, as Christy shared, we are strongly partnered with Mary Center. So we do work very closely with all of their Mary Center's programs and teams, and more closely with the school-based mental health team. So we have an on-site mental health therapist who we continue to work closely with during this time. Our mental health therapist on average sees about 20 adult students for individual therapy, which she now does via phone or video calls. Next slide. So during this pandemic, obviously, our team has been really focused on making sure that urgent needs are being met, urgent basic needs are being met. And we've been doing that in close collaboration with teachers and staff, and also with our many community partners and the people that work with those community partners, of course. This image is showing you an example of what's on our internal Briya Student website. So all of us have tried to centralize our resources, whether it's educational or community support resources on our student website, and making sure that students and teachers and other staff really know how to navigate it. So this just shows you an example of the types of resource information and know your rights information that is there and that we can use as a reference. And we've been gathering all that information through the tons of resources that are now out there and available. So in addition to those basic needs, we're also making sure that students and staff feel, and whole families feel, emotionally supported, which is very crucial for them to be ready to really focus on their distance learning. Next slide. This just shows you an example of the caseload that our student services team has had since mid-March. Before mid-March, from January to mid-March, 4% of our cases had to do with basic needs. And as you can see from this pie chart, now it's 38% of our cases just since mid-March. No surprise there, but just to have that image and know kind of the scope of what we're addressing at this time. One of the ways that we're staying closely connected to our students is also through advocacy. Billy is one of our student services coordinators, and he is now going to talk about the amazing ways that he's been working with students and other staff to advocate during this time.
Great, thanks, Stephanie. Thank you all for joining us. It's great to see some familiar faces, read some familiar names. Again, my name is Billy. I'm a student services coordinator, specifically at our Sharp site. And like Stephanie said, I'm going to talk a little bit about student leadership at Briya. We can go to the next slide. So as a disclaimer, I want to say something that Briya prioritizes is cultivating and fostering student leadership. So what I'm presenting on today is a very, very small part of that. A great example is we have a student council at Briya. Giselle is a member of that student council. I would also add, Zaid was talking about her daughter. being a member of her school's student council. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree because Zaid was also elected by her peers to be her class's student council representative. But what I am going to talk to you all about today is something new that we've done this year. It's our student advocates group at our Sharp location specifically. So what it is, it's about 20 to 25 students that have been meeting since September every single week for about 45 minutes to an hour in between our morning and afternoon classes. And the reason why we're meeting is to promote student leadership through civic engagement and political efficacy. So really everything that we talk about, whether it's like in this picture, you can see the Wilson building. If we're talking about, you know, what is this thing called deputy mayors? Who are members of the council? What do they do? Whatever we're talking about is through the lens of what it means to be an immigrant in this city. Regardless of whether or not you can vote, you still have a voice, and that voice still has a right to be heard. If we can go to the next slide. So sharing some highlights of what we've done this year, one thing that we did back in February, which seems like a lifetime ago at this point, was we attended all 3 of the mayor's budget forums, and here are some pictures from each of them. So you can see in this picture, we had a group at this mayor's budget forum who actually went up to the mayor and said, and Giselle might be spotted in the background there, who went up and told the mayor a concern that we had been focusing on this year, which was the DC Alliance health insurance program. And so our goal was to work with the mayor and the city council to extend the renewal period for DC Alliance from 6 months to 1 year. So for a lot of us, this was our first time going to a mayor's budget forum. We might not have known who the mayor was beforehand or what the budget process was. But this was something that we all participated in, not just adult students, but also their children. So it was really a family outing for all of us. Next slide. Another highlight that I'll share is we went out to the Committee on Health hearing, specifically their performance oversight hearing, and had about 10 students or so testify back to back. Councilmember Gray was very patient with us. And again, I want to make the point that the folks you see in this picture are all students, the one on the left, including the young ones. So again, this was not something that just the adult students took part in. It was really a family effort. It was something that we all participated in. Next slide. We recognize that the work isn't done. I tend to shy away from the term social distancing and say that we're physically distancing. I think it's impossible to be at Briya and social distance. So much of what we do, so much of our ethos is built in relationships we have with each other and our families. So we're still continuing to meet this student group once a week via Zoom. Our next meeting is Thursday. And what we're focusing on now is specifically cash assistance for immigrant families who do not qualify for unemployment benefits or the stimulus checks. So to Giselle's point earlier, this is something that's affecting a ton of our families. And we participated a few weeks ago in a digital day of action. You can see some snapshots here. We're grateful for the $5 million that Events DC has invested, but we also recognize that that's not enough. So we're very excited and looking forward to working with the mayor and the city council to continue to find solutions to many of the issues that our families are facing, and to find a way forward to continue to support immigrants in our communities in the district. So again, that's just a little snapshot, and happy to answer any questions at the end. Without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Lisa Lucino to talk about our early childhood program.
Thank you. My video, it does not seem to want to start, but I am the Senior Director of Early Childhood Strategy at Briya, and I'm excited to be able to share to gather virtually with you and share what's happening in our early childhood program. So you can go to the next slide. You'll see here that these are some of the elements that we've found to be helpful parts of our distance learning plan. Bridging content from home to school and vice versa is not new for us here at Briya. Parents as teachers is really part of who we are and how we operate. And we've seen the fruits of all the relationships building that was done earlier in the year. It's really led to higher participation rates in the distance learning. The co-teaching model helps the teams collaborate and divide out responsibilities, and we already had MTSS plans in place that are still being implemented, but this time it's really through giving parents strategies and activities, and in some cases materials for targeting skills. We have a really comprehensive curriculum, but we're using a calendar to teach math and literacy specifically, which really helps parents focus on one skill at a time right now. You can go to the next slide. So another thing is that we know that children create knowledge through materials, right? And our classrooms are beautiful, rich places full of Reggio-inspired materials, and we really can't wait for the children to be able to return to these classroom learning environments. The only silver lining here is that it may be easier for our teachers to provide learning ideas for families and for them to utilize them, given that the families at Briya were already used to using everyday materials like cardboard and tape and everything for learning, because we are a Reggio-inspired program and we use everyday objects. So right at the start, we sent home learning packets and worksheets and some supplies, but then in week 2, we did an art supply delivery project, and now we're just using a lot of visuals with our dual language learners, and teachers are sending visual provocations such as photos of birds via text messages and WhatsApp chats. And parents are often sending things back. You can go to the next slide. This is just a quick snapshot of our distance learning interventions for 0 to 5, for infant, toddler, and pre-K. Some of the things that the infant, toddler, and pre-K teachers are doing. You can go to the next slide. And we know that the children really need to continue to see their teachers, and infant toddler teachers are also sending videos and working with parents. This video that you're about to see shows a toddler teacher engaging in a morning meeting. This is the Tierra class at Fort Totten, and naming some of the students. Stella, you can hit play.
Buenos días, Victoria. Good morning, Victoria. Hola, Eder. Hi, Eder. ¿Cómo estás, Betsy? How are you, Betsy? Hola, Santiago. Hi, Santiago. Buenos días, Eric. Good morning, Eric. ¿Cómo estás?
So the children, they respond really positively to still being able to see their friends and classmates. Now on this second one, you'll see a toddler. This is a video that a toddler mom sent her teacher, and it's just one of the many, many videos that parents are sending as part of this two-way communication that we're having. You can go ahead and hit play.
Josué está haciendo yuca para hacer nuegados, está echando en el procesador la yuca.
I just want to reemphasize what I think I said earlier, that we are, another silver lining is just that we are glad that we did the home visits earlier in the year, and that these really positive relationships are part of the foundation, and it enables parents to trust teachers and to send them things like that, and that way the learning is much more rich, meaningful, and customized to what the child is doing at home. So on this next slide, you'll see I mentioned there's lots of phone calls and circle times. Here's another example of a feedback loop that this mom sent her daughter's pre-K teacher. You might see in the very right-hand corner bottom of your slide a picture of the teacher on her phone, and she wanted to show her teacher the daughter's current level of alphabet knowledge. You can hit play on that.
A, B, C, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N.
Thank you. So on this next slide, you'll see that our pre-K children are eagerly participating in the morning meetings during their home learning, and this really provides the comfort of familiar classroom routines coupled with opportunities to stay connected to their teachers and their classmates and discuss events of their lives. And so here you'll see one of the pre-K teachers checking in with how they're feeling today. You can hit play.
Mi amigo, ¿cómo estás hoy, Josué? ¿Estás feliz? ¿Triste o enojado? ¿Cómo estás?
Feliz.
Ay, qué bueno. Josué también está feliz. Hacemos un check en feliz. Muy bien. Yo también estoy feliz hoy. Estoy muy feliz. Y estoy muy feliz de verlos a ustedes. Y veo que se está empezando a conectar Ruth porque hoy tengo una canción nueva.
Great. And on this next slide, but before I go on, I do want to say that in pre-K, the children are having morning meetings in both English and Spanish, but the video that I'm happening to show you is one of the examples of a Spanish meeting. And so these virtual touch points allow children to also discuss and process what they're living right now in this new reality. So go ahead and hit play.
¿Me puedes ayudar a escribir tu nombre?
Sorry, Stella, can you do the next one, please?
Yo tengo una máscara porque mi papi buscó en el trabajo allí. Un día fuimos a Walmart, allí dijeron una señora que dice, llevan guantes, llevan máscara por si no la van a entrar. Ahí porque yo tenía máscara y guantes.
¿Fuiste aquí? ¿Aquí fuiste, Ruth? ¿A Walmart?
Sí,
ajá, gracias.
Karen se ponía la máscara y los guantes porque, digo, la señora la señora digo, lleva máscaras en guantes.
¿Por qué creen ustedes? ¿Por qué creen que será importante usar máscaras y usar guantes? ¿Por qué?
Porque allí decía la señora.
¿Pero por qué usará guantes y máscaras la señora? Porque podría haber entrado sin máscara y sin guantes.
Okay, so you see they're really wanting to talk about a señora at Walmart who is insisting that the customers wear masks and gloves, and Alejandra, their teacher, is able to process with them and ask questions and have feedback loops about this new reality that they're living. And we know how extremely important this oral language development is, not to mention the social, emotional, and cognitive benefits, but to be able to have strong oral language at home through virtual meetings in both their home language and English is essential to their trajectory of learning. Let's go to the next slide. We're also providing important content that they need to acquire new vocabulary, socialize, engage in deep thinking, and of course, math is part of that. So in this clip, you'll see that she's introducing the weekly math objective, which was comparing and measuring and giving them an assignment to compare the sizes of something that she's certain they will be able to find at home. You can hit play.
Now let's do it again with something that you might have at your house, like your shoes. For this part, you need to find your shoe and then some other shoes at your house, maybe your grown-up's shoes or your brother's shoes or your sister's shoes. But try to find 3 different shoes. I have 3 shoes. 1, 2, and 3. And I need help to decide which of these shoes is the biggest shoe, which is the medium-sized shoe, and which is the...
Okay, we can go to the next slide, but as you could see, that was a real-life example of what they'll be able to do to compare different sizes at home. And on the next slide, I just want to quickly point out that we're putting up content each week for parents in a special early childhood section of our student portal. So they can go there to revisit things and watch the videos as many times as they want. We know repetition is another extremely important element for young children and for dual language learners. And we strive to make this content really accessible, even for students with low levels of literacy. And on the next slide, you'll see that just a quick example of how we're extending some of their interests into home learning. This classroom was about to start a garden study right before we had to shut down. So they're just kind of doing it in a new adapted way, sending visual provocations of birds and nests and getting lots of rich things back from families of what their children are drawing, the birds that they're seeing, and inviting them to think about it. And on our final slide, I just want to point out the intentionality behind our choice of topics and activities in this time. We need to be responsive to what's going on. One mom told her teacher that her child didn't want to sit down and practice their letters or learn anything, so the teacher gave her this loose parts alphabet activity. And we need to send things to families in ways that are going to work for them. So thank you for listening to how it's going in our early childhood program.
Great, thank you so much. I know we do have some time for Q&A. I don't know, Christy, if you wanted to say anything to wrap up, and people can feel free to put questions in the chat or unmute themselves if they have questions.
Yeah, so thank you. Just moving forward, we are looking at ways to be able to hopefully either do face-to-face instruction or continue in some way throughout the summer. And then we're also continuing to think about a blended learning program for the fall, conceivably starting classes early to make up for some of the time this school year. And so we recognize that those will have impacts on our budget, and we urge City Council to really consider school funding and the importance of funding schools during this time when we're adding additional classes or services, and looking forward to how we can do that moving forward. Thank you all.
Great, thank you so much, Christy and the Briya team. This was really fantastic.